Hello everyone, hope you're doing good and welcome back to my channel. Today we are at day 24 of the December daily code challenge and we have a easy level question in front of us. Let's see what the question is. It's question 1758, minimum changes to make alternating binary strings. The name makes it very clear what they are expecting in the question, but let us see what the question is in detail. You are given a string as consisting of only of characters 0 and 1, which means it's kind of binary string, but remember it's a string, not a number. In one operation, you can change any string literal 0 to 1 and vice versa. The string is called alternating if no two adjacent characters are equal. For example, 0 1 0 is alternating while the string 0 1 0 0. You can see 0 1 0. Here at last 1 should have come, but they have mentioned it 0 here. That's why we can say that it's not alternating. As simple as that. Return the minimum number of operations needed to make as alternating. That's what it is. So in this, if you see, it is 0 1. Here also should have been 1. Okay, that is one approach. So in that approach, we need one modification. There is another approach also. For example, see, for everything there are two things. Either it could start with 0 or it could start with 1. Okay, so in this case, if we want it to start with 0, we need only one modification. If we have to start it with 1, then in this case, I guess we need many modifications. For example, this we need to make it 1, this we need to make it 0, so there are two modifications. This we need to make it 1, there are again one modification. So in total, three modifications will be needed if we want to make this thing starting with 1. At the same time, should be alternating. So obviously, you have to take the minimum of them. So obviously, making it start with 0 is more beneficial in this particular example. So yeah, we need one modification here at the last. That's what it is. This thing is already alternating, so we don't need any modification as such. Okay, so this was the basic idea. Here we may need modification here and here. Okay, here either way. Okay, either it can start with 1 or it can start with 0. So yeah, as you can see, these are the two approaches possible. In like either of them, we need only two modifications. So I think by now you would have understood what we need, exactly. And the length of s can be up to 10 power 4. And yeah, that is all about the question. And if you talk about the approaches here, so as I mentioned, there can be two approaches. See, they are talking about some modifications, right? So the idea here is, see, what we are trying to do first of all. So see, for example, this string can be converted to a string starting with 1. At the same time, we can ensure that it is alternating. That also can be done. But the question here is doing what will need minimum number of operations. Okay, so we will do both the things. In my answer, I'm doing both. So I'm keeping two variables called start 0 and start 1. What that means is I will try to make it as a string starting with 0. In that case, I will note how many modifications are needed. I will try to make it a string starting with 1. And in that case, I will note how many modifications are needed to make it alternating. Then I will compare the two, and whichever is the minimum, I will return that. As simple as that. So I will do both the things. I will also try to make it starting with 0 and alternating. And at the same time, I will also do it with try to convert to start with 1 and at the same time make it alternating. And I will note how many operations are needed in each of the cases. Whichever is the minimum, that will be the ideal answer. As simple as that. For that, it's very simple the way I'm doing it. So yeah, I'm just going through each of the elements of the given binary string. And in that case, now comes this thing. Okay, to understand this thing, we'll have to see some examples. See here, and if I talk about this, see here, if let me zoom in properly. Yeah, I hope you are visiting. See, if the string starts with 0, you might be seeing that all positions, okay, for all positions which are divided by 2. For example, let us see I is the index. That means I all positions that I present 2 equal to 0. In that case, is 0 should come. Okay, that all those places should be filled with 0. As simple as that. Okay, so if the string is going to start with 0, okay, that is we are talking about start 0. In that case, what we have to do, we have to ensure that all the indices which are divisible by 2, okay, they are filled with 0. As simple as that. And obviously the reverse, that is, if 1% was not 0, and then those indices should be filled with this. So let me write it, else we will have to fill it with 1. As simple as that. Okay, now talk about this, the strings which are starting with 1. Okay, in that case, all the positions which satisfy this, that is I percentage 2 is equal to 0. Okay, those things should be filled with 1. As you might have noted, see, here 1 is there in the 0th position, here 1 is there in the 2nd position, and so on, right? And what is else part? That is the indices which are not divisible by 2. In those spaces, 0 should come. As simple as that. I hope this part you would have understood by now. Same thing which we are trying to check here. Okay, so I'm keeping two conditions here, whether I person 2 is 0 or not. Okay, so these are the indices like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and these are for indices like 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on, right? So when we talk about, let us say, yeah, we are here. Let me talk about this code first. Okay, so we are here because we, this condition is, true. That's why we are in this particular part. So when this condition is true, that means we are in one of the even indices. Okay, now if we talk about start 0, that means if we are expecting the string to start with 0. Okay, if we are in, we want the string to start with 0, in that case 1 should not be there in this position. Okay, as simple as that. 1 should not be there. If 1 is there, then we'll have to convert it. Okay, then we'll have to convert it, as simple as that. And then let's see, both the case are reverse, right? If I percent 2 equal to 0, if we have to start it with 0, then it should be 0. If you have to start it with 1, then it should be 1, as simple as that. Okay, so if it's starting with 1, then it's violating this thing, right? So we have to, increment this by 1, start 0 by 1, because we need one modification here. That's why we increment 1. At the same time, if it is 0, that is if this condition is not true, we are coming to this part. If this condition is not true, that means it is 0. Okay, if it is 0, this is violating this part. It should have been 1, but it is 0. That's why we need a modification for start 1. Start 1 means we were expecting it to start with 1, but it is not starting with 1. In that case, we will again need a modification by 1. Now come to the else part. Else part means we are in the odd indices. Okay, we are in the odd indices. That is this path, the odd indices path. Okay, in the odd indices path. Okay, we are talking about start 0. What we are expecting in start 0, it should have been a 1. Okay, it should have been a 1 we are expecting, but what we came out, it came out to be a 0. In that case, we will have to increment start 0 by 1. That is, if we want a string to start with 0 and we are in the experiencing this, that means we need a modification here, and we are doing that. At the same time, if we talk about start 1, what we're expecting a 0. Okay, if this condition is false, so what remains, it that is, if we come to this part of the code, what is the condition taken here? That means as of y is 1, as of y is 1, but we are expecting it in to be 0. That means we need a modification there as well. That means start 1 needs to be incremented by 1. So yeah, friends, that was all. So this loop will continue like that, and at the end we are returning whichever is the minimum. Okay, let me quickly run this and show you. As you can see, this is clearing all the test cases. If I have even segmented and seen, it works. So I hope you understood the basic idea behind this question. See, as we are talking about transformation, that means there are other ways possible. We can do a lot of transformations and make a string, start with 0 and alternating. At the same time, with less, modification needed, we can make it, alternate even with and it's starting with 1. As simple as that. So we don't know what it is. Okay, it depends on what is there already in the string, right? So that's why we are, doing with both the approaches. And at last, we are comparing how many modifications are needed for each of them. Okay, to make it start with 0 and alternating, how many modifications are needed to make it start with 1 and yet alternating, how many modifications are needed. And then we are comparing which is the minimum, and then we are returning it. If we talk about the time complexity, we are using a single for loop. As you might have seen here, we are using a single for loop, so it's often. If you talk about the space complexity is not dependent on the size of n. Okay, we are just using 3 variables, as simple as that. So it is, I am assuming to one, that is a constant time complex, sorry, constant space complexity, because it is not dependent on the size of the given string, which is basically I'm calling it n. Okay. So yeah, fun. That was all for today. Hope you have enjoyed my solution. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.